I heard you got too little last night.
What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. This is LD Photo, where we talk about our favorite passion, photography, all day, every day. Today's video is an AMA, and if you're new here, you're not sure how this works, you leave your question in the comment section down below, and we answer it in upcoming videos. Today's question from Zois, it's a long one, but a good one. Hey Ramon, you have a great channel here. Thank you. I have a dilemma. I have a A7R II, beast of a camera, with the new 24-105 f4. It's a good lens, my man. And a 55 1.8. Damn, son, you're stocked. Also, my Micro Four Thirds kit is a G85 with the 12-32, 24-64, and a 25 1.8, another 50. Man, you've got some toys. For my Sony, I bought the 24-105, but now Tamron announced the new 28-75 2.8. Do you think that it is worth it to sell the Sony and buy the Tamron? If the Tamron is sharp and focused similar as my Sony does. I've done my research. The Sony is heavier. It has image stabilization. I think both have some kind of weather resistance. Tamron has also some macro capabilities, and that is a good thing. I am on street photography. I am a street photographer, and I wanted to zoom for my travel. Oof. And anything else. Do you think the Tamron is a cheap version of the 24-70mm f2.8 G Master? Well, I mean, I'm happy to see you did your research. That's pretty dope. A lot of people really don't do the research, but I get where you're coming from here. The Tamron is not a cheap version of the 24-70, and I don't even know anything about the Tamron, right? It was just announced. I don't know. We don't know what it's gonna look like. We gotta wait for like people like DP Review to get their hands on it and really test it. These lenses are still pretty expensive, and I think Tamron has earned themselves a seat at the table, and they produce some really good lenses. Especially if you look over in the Canon world, Tamron has been providing some really quality alternative glass to Canon, and they kind of sit between the default non-pro lenses and the pro L glass. So that's also dope. I don't know much about the Nikon world, but I would have to assume that Tamron is also over there as well. You know, let's not call them a cheap version of the 24-70, but I get what you mean in terms of functionality. So what I would challenge you here is I would want to know why. Why do you need a faster lens? To me, as a street photographer, and even portraits, right? I don't think sacrificing that 24-105 reach is worth the extra wide 2.8 on the 28-75. I get it. Everyone says you want a faster lens because it's all about bokeh. It's all about bokeh. You know, it's not always about bokeh. With a 24-105, if you rack that thing out to anything past 50, you're gonna start to get good bokeh, and what I mean by that, it's the separation, and it's the separation plus the fact that it's a longer focal length. You're gonna get a very pleasing image. So what are you chasing here? For me, you know, if you go back to when Sony first launched the A7 line, all of the Zeiss glass was f4. And Sony's argument then, which they since did a 180 on, you don't need anything faster than a f4 because these are full frame cameras and the sensors will letting more than enough light. The size of the sensor makes up for that. And I think that argument still holds true. Sure, at 2.8 you're letting so much more light, but I got a feeling you just want this for bokeh. As a street photographer, a 24-105 is such a versatile range. In fact, surely by now, if you haven't, check out the review, my Canon 6D review. I did that review with the 24-105 L glass, and it was a f4. what a pleasing lens to use. And I'm not talking about the technicality of what was sharpened. I'm just, that focal length of 24 to 105 can't be beat. And from the research that I've done on the Sony 24 to 105, it's almost the best lens that you can buy for a full frame Sony camera. The performance is amazing. The lens is sharp. The lens is sharp through and through all the focal lengths. And then on top of that, as a 24 to 105, it's rather compact. There's a lot about that lens that I think you should appreciate. For me also, look at what you're doing. So you have a 24 to 105 that you're trying to replace with a 28 to 75. You're spending money to cover a focal length that you already have. I don't recommend that. I would rather see you spend that money on a 16mm lens or 20mm lens or a 24mm prime or an 85mm prime or even a 70 to 210. I think it's important to flush out your range as a photographer versus chasing a few extra stops on the aperture. I think the only thing to really be worried about if you're going to get that Tamron lens anyway is the autofocus. And I struggle to call it autofocus issues, but this is something we see, or I've came across when the discussion about Tamron came up in the Canon world. The autofocus is never really as good as the native glass. And one of the things that Jerry taught me is get native glass. It was designed by the manufacturer. They tweaked it. It's flawless. So if autofocus is important to you, as you know, you're doing street work, I would imagine it is. I would stick with the native glass. You just got to give it some time to see what the reviews are really saying. I think DP review is probably gonna have a good answer for you. I think you should stick with your 24 to 105. I think you should exhaust your creativity with that lens first. Unless you comment again back below and tell me there's something you specifically needed to get below that f4 that you couldn't one day, and this is why you're hunting a 2.8. Don't just hunt it for bokeh or because it's just a popular lens for all the Sony kiddies. Don't do that. But as always, this is a community thing, so I want the rest of the LD familia to hop in the comment section down below and give us your take on this question. Help the homie out. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you for stopping by and checking out the video, checking out the channel. If you like the video, like it. Please subscribe. It helps us grow and helps us know that something we're doing is right. And there's also a link to our Facebook group down below where you can join and share your images and join the discussions. Again, my name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.
Well, I guess, and the reason we started Lifestyles Defined is because if we weren't on camera arguing about these things, the technologies, the phones, the iPhones, the Androids, the cameras, the games, we'd be on the phone arguing about it. We'd be in each other's houses arguing about it. So why not just put it in front of a camera for everyone to enjoy it the way we do? That's what Lifestyles Defined is all about. We just